the first thing that we're going to do in this part of the video is work on our plot summary. Okay, so we're not going to worry about our slide just yet. Let's go ahead and knock out our notes first. So I'm going to resize so that I can see it a little bit more clearly. I'm going to go back to IMDB and find my plot summary. I'm going to go over to Explore More so that I can scroll down to Storyline and look up Plot Summary. You're likely going to want to choose Plot Summary because it's going to be a little bit shorter. But you're going to take this information and you're going to summarize it. You're going to put it into your own words. It does not have to be this long, but it does have to be longer in your notes. So just so that it makes it easier for me to present the information, I did copy and paste it over to my example. One thing that commonly takes place is that people who do this project copy and paste the plot summary over to their PowerPoint. But the problem is sometimes they forget to remove it. And so it ends up being plagiarized when they turn it in with this copyrighted information. So you have to be very careful about whether you are going to copy and paste or not. To avoid having to copy and paste, a good idea would be to utilize this Restore Down button. So if I click on that, it's going to give me a smaller window, but I can still see my notes pretty clearly. If you do the same thing over on your browser, then you can see your content and your PowerPoint at the same time. And along these edges, you can just resize and work from there. In my example, I actually did pull from the synopsis, so you might have noticed that my paragraph did not match the plot summary. But I'm going to go ahead and read what the synopsis said from IMDB, and then I'm going to show you how I would take this information and narrow it down for my notes, and then narrow it down again to put on my slide. So I'm starting off with Lucy and Edmund, whatever the last name is, return to Narnia with their cousin Eustace, where they meet up with Prince Caspian for a trip across the sea aboard the royal ship the Dawn Treader. Along the way, they encounter dragons, dwarves, merfolk, and a band of lost warriors before reaching the edge of the world. Now, I took this information and I put it into my own words down in my notes pages. Now remember, this area is not going to be seen by your audience, so this is just to remind you what you should say to the class. This is going to be the more detailed description. So in this movie, Lucy and Edmund return to Narnia with their pesky cousin to meet up with Prince Caspian and are thrust into an adventure where they encounter lost warriors and many mystical creatures like dragons, dwarves, and merfolk. Now notice that I didn't go sentence by sentence putting everything into my own words. I just read the entire paragraph and summarized it in a way that made sense to me. When you summarize something, it makes it a lot easier to explain it because you're making sure that you understand the content as well. If there's something you don't understand about your synopsis or your plot summary, ask me and I'll help you to understand it. Now once you've summarized everything down in your notes pages, that's when you're going to pop back up to your slide. Now your slide, of course, is going to look different than mine. This is just my example. So I am going to pull this down so that you can see how I put it on the slide. Okay, so on my slide, I'm only going to put the main idea. So I'm not going to summarize that whole paragraph again. I'm just going to put the main idea. So Lucy and Edmund return for another adventure with Prince Caspian. Short, sweet, to the point. It gives your audience the understanding of what you're about to present. Because the whole purpose of a PowerPoint is to be a visual aid in helping you to present information. It is not for your audience to have to read the entire time. Now I'd like you to go back to your PowerPoint, which should look exactly like mine because we haven't formatted anything. We haven't made any changes like that. That will come in the next video. I don't want you making any changes because it will affect the outcome of what we do later. So on slide 2, the first thing that I want you to do is come down here to your notes pages. Remember, you can resize here. And I want you to summarize your plot summary. Once you have it done down in your notes, I want you to take that, and then you'll come up here to your slide and just highlight this letter, the placeholder letter, and begin typing from there. Now, one of the main things that you need to know about putting stuff on your slide is that every bullet needs to be capitalized. So you may not necessarily have complete sentences, so you may not always have ending punctuation, but you're always going to start every single bullet with a capital letter. Once you're finished with your plot summary on your slide and in your notes, then I want you to go to the Did You Know slide, the slide 4. You're going to do the same exact thing. I want you to find 3 different trivia or goofs, any mix of the 3. You just have to have a total of 3 facts. And you're going to summarize them down in your notes. And then once you have them all summarized in your notes, then you will put them on your slide in main idea bullets. In my example, I say 2/3 of the movie was filmed in Playas de Rosarita. Wow, I'm butchering that. Baja California in Mexico, in the same water tank in which much of the Titanic was filmed. So I put all of the detail down here in my notes page, and that's what I would say to the class. But on my slide, I just say 2/3 of the movie was filmed in this location. Now, once you have all of your trivia put in on your slide and in your notes, then you'll go over to your starring. On yours, it should be slide 3. Now, I'm going to do a Google search for images from my movie first, and that way I know what order to put their names. So I'm going to come back over to Google Chrome. In this lab, you always want to use Google Chrome. And right up here, you can just type in the search terms. So Chronicles of Narnia, Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Okay, and then I'm going to click on the Images tab. And for your PowerPoint, you want larger images. You don't want anything that is a thumbnail. So this one right here, 214 by 317, is not big enough to be high quality on your slide. Now I can go to Search Tools, and the first option is to filter it by size. So a good rule of thumb is just to go to medium size. If you wanted something to be printable, large would be the way to go. But since we're just putting it on a PowerPoint, just keep that in mind. Okay, so if I wanted to use this picture right here, I would click on it. And then in order to copy the image at full size, I can go to View Image. Right click, Copy Image, and don't lose your spot because we will be coming back to this. We're going to come back to the PowerPoint, and depending on which text box you want, you're going to come right here on the edge where I get that 4-sided arrow. I'm going to click one time to select that box. And if you come up here to the Paste button, it will automatically resize that picture and center it with the other text box. It'll make it a lot cleaner looking and more professional. Now we're going to go back to get our citation. So we're going to come back to that website and we're going to go back. I'm going to scroll down. And then right here, we've got the visit page. So this is going to take me to the website that contains this image. So I'm going to highlight this URL right up here. And for now, I'm just going to copy it. And then I'm going to come back to my PowerPoint and right-click Paste. We can turn it into a full citation at a later point, But for right now, just get the website that you need to document your picture. Now you'll probably notice that my picture is different. I noticed that whenever I started finding their names, one of the characters wasn't actually in the movie, so it was one from one of the other movies. So if this happens to you, make sure you're paying attention. So at this point, you're going to list the actors from left to right. Now I know that this guy played Eustace, so I'm going to go back to my IMDB page, and I'm going to scroll down. Okay, so here's Eustace. So this guy's name is Will Poulter. Just so that I don't butcher the spelling, I'm going to highlight it and then right-click inside that highlighted area and copy it. And then I'll come back to my PowerPoint, right-click, and I'm going to choose this last option, which will make sure that I keep the formatting from the actual slide. I don't want to use any of these other ones because it's not going to keep consistency with the formatting on my slide. So now I'll press enter, and now I'm looking for the second youngest brother. Okay, if I look in here, it looks like that's Skander Keynes, so I'm going to go ahead and right-click copy. Now the requirement for this project is to have at least 3 bullets. So since I have 4 characters here, I went ahead and listed all 4 actors. It's not going to hurt you to do one more bullet. But down on your notes, you only need to cover 3 of them. So what I'm going to do is highlight all of the actors' names, and then inside the highlighted area, I right-click and copy. And then down here on my notes page, I'm going to right-click and paste. Now I did go ahead and do the notes portion of this slide while you weren't watching. So in order to break it up a little bit, I'm going to highlight it and add some bullets. So I'm going to show you where I found the information in order to create some notes for this slide. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to IMDB, and I'm looking for Will Poulter. Okay, if I click on this link, it's going to take me to his IMDB page, which is going to tell me what all the actor has done. If I click on this link right over here where it says Eustace Scrub, this is Eustace's page. So right in here it says biography. I'm going to go to see more. And it's going to give me a description of the character himself. So I would take just a brief amount of information in here just to give a little detail about his character. So we're going to go back here to my example, and you'll see that Skander Keynes plays Edmund Pevensey, who's the second youngest in the family and the first to meet the White Witch. In The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, he is called King Edmund the Just. So you're basically taking those paragraphs and you're summarizing it. So you're saying this actor plays this character who, and then tell me a little bit about their character. Now at this point, the only thing that you haven't done other than the box office slide is right up here, your tagline. So now I'm going to go back to the main movie page, and it looks like I have to go to explore more. And under storyline heading, there's taglines. They have a couple listed, but I only want you to choose one. So choose your best one, highlight it, right-click copy, come back to your PowerPoint, highlight your bullet, right-click, and choose that A. Now my bulleting got all messed up, so what I'm going to do is just press that undo button. And instead of highlighting this letter, I'm just going to backspace one time, leaving that bullet, and then I'm going to right-click and use that A to paste. And this way I keep all of the bullets that I originally came up with. And the one last thing that you need to add is quotation marks, because this is straight from the movie.